We're not sweating our numbers. We're not struggling to prospect or find customers. We're not even sweating into quarter. Because we're growing a foundation of A-level sales talent. We're rethinking successful habits. And we're rethinking our entire digital prospecting strategy. We're going to break records and explode our sales funnel. We're doing things differently, and we're doing things better. Better than before. Because this program showed us how to not only excel at sales, but how to become a prospecting master.
Welcome everybody to today's special episode of the Modern Sales Mastery Show. As always, I am the host for today, Felipe Gonzalez, social media coordinator here at Vengreso. Please let us know in the comments below where you're joining in from. It's time to invite all of your friends and family to join. Now let's get the show rolling. Let me introduce the host for today. She has been for more than 2 decades helping business leaders, executives, and entrepreneurs in the B2B space to drive effective sales strategy through customer engagement. She is now our own here at Vengreso Chief Customer Officer. Please help me welcome Priya Sachdev. Priya, welcome.
Thank you, Felipe. So excited to be here today, and not just be here, but so excited to welcome our guest today. I've been in sales for 3 decades and been in the sales consulting space for almost 2 out of that. And Richardson is a brand I've looked up to, and excited the fact that today I have Linda Richardson joining us for this live. Welcome to the Modern Sales Mastery live show, Linda.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. Very happy to join you.
And I am so excited about the fact that over my 2 decades of career as a consultant, I have sold against you, lost to you sometimes, and have read the books just so that I know what we're talking about. And here we are in this conversation today. So if I am a little overexcited about this conversation, you know where it's coming from.
Oh, you're very kind. And again, I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
All right. So, Linda, just because I started talking about this, I'm going to jump right in here and ask you that when you were founding Richardson, what are some of the innovations in selling that you were thinking about, which have been instrumental to the success of where Richardson is today?
A lot had to do actually with timing. When I entered the field of sales, I guess it was in the late 70s, customers were becoming much more sophisticated. There were more competitors, and the mode of selling that existed before that, which was product focus, features and benefits, sell your features and benefits. And it was more a lecture, an education. And at the time it was needed. But at that brink, the world was really changing and customers were getting smarter. There were more competitors. They had more information. And there was time for a change. And when I entered the field of sales training and sales performance, I entered from a very different perspective. I had never been in sales. I hadn't been in business. I was strong in education, and I was an educational psychologist. So what I noticed when I was working with salespeople is that I felt they'd be much more effective if they listened more, if they asked questions, and instead of features and benefits and product dumping, to really take a focus on needs. And as that crystallized, that became what I coined at the time as consultative selling. And people would ask me, is it consultative or consultative? And it was consultative selling because it was need-based. It was customer and client focused. And it was a new way to sell. And I think especially with my book, Stop Telling, Start Selling, one of the very early books, it really caught on, and that gave us the start. But also because my background was so different, when I was looking at my competitors. If a customer had a sales force and they wanted to buy sales training, they were buying generic sales training. And I knew as an educator, if you want to change behavior, make it relevant. So I introduced customization so that it would be really close to what they sold and the markets they sold to and the competitors they sold against and the industries they sold into. So again, coming from that different perspective, not being bogged down with the history of selling, something new came. And then I knew, well, they need reinforcement. I know that as an educator. And so we had selling and coaching became the next one, and negotiating and presentations and on till there was this integrated curriculum. And the classroom wasn't lecture anymore. It had to be coaching. It had to be very interactive. So I think it was those things, this perspective that I brought in and the timing. I was very lucky. And then, of course, the most important thing was the team. I was so blessed. We gathered so many creative, wonderful people that it was almost a creed, consultative selling. They believed in it. And we thought it was better than anything else. And we sold it that way. So I just feel that it was timing and the perspective I brought in and the group that we were able to put together and keep together. So it was a great journey, actually.
Yeah, it is a journey. I think still there are so many people who absolutely pick up those basic principles and change the way they sell every day, right? And I think the pandemic and us having more virtual conversations is really evolving sales. I don't know if it's changing sales, but certainly evolving sales a lot today.
Mhm.
I remember I started sales 30 years ago selling electronic typewriters, and we were out in the field holding our bags of brochures and going office to office trying to pitch the features and benefits till someone told us otherwise and said, why are you selling this? What do you really sell? What's the problem you solve?
Yes, right.
Right? So how has selling changed over the years? What are some of the key things you're noticing now?
Well, of course, I just mentioned we went from the product focus to customer need focus, and that was a huge change. And I think, and that's with the coining of the word consultative selling. And I think we've had that for at least 30 years because, and through those 30 years, the customers become smarter and smarter and more demanding. And salespeople need to sell on steroids to add real value because the client can be 70% through the journey of selling before even talking to the salesperson. They're doing their own research. They're talking to their colleagues. They really know so much. They have so many competitors calling on them that the salesperson is really hard pressed to bring in value. So it's almost right now, it's about 30 years with consultative selling. I think we're on the brink of something new, and maybe it's post-conselling, but I don't want to call it post-consultative selling because that implies you don't need needs. Maybe it's plus consultative selling because the level of understanding needs has totally changed. Salespeople need to do their research. They need to really know their industries. They're smart if they get a really great niche that they know, so that when they go in, they can add true value and help the customer think about things they haven't already thought about, or think about the things they have thought about in a new way, or find out why they're thinking that way. So they have to come in with these very smart, intelligent, knowledgeable questions. I know your industry. I know your competitors. I know our capabilities. And now I can fine tune that to see how that fits. All that knowledge I have about you from this big picture really fits into your business. So it truly has changed. And then technology has transformed. It's transformed selling. And the thing that I think is truly different, and I'm not seeing any attention to it, and I think we need to help salespeople with it and marketing people, is, when you think about selling before the pandemic, before the technology is just sort of taken over now, what we're doing right now, selling was dialogue, called you on the telephone, spoke to you, sold to you, dialogue, and dialogue to close you. Now, of course, there was other letters and phone calls in between, but it was dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. And I think the huge change that we're facing now is if you look at those three general layers, and I know I'm generalizing, they're different. And it's a big challenge because I think writing has become a very, 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 very important selling medium. So it's writing, dialogue, writing. And salespeople have to know how, and marketing people, how to get, because you're not getting people on the phone, particularly during the pandemic. You didn't
Oh, absolutely.
numbers. So that email that goes out, and honestly, the ones I'm seeing from clients and the ones that come across my computer are not good enough. They're trying to be good enough. They start out, I hope you had having a great close of your quarter, nice little rapport. We offer such and such and such and such. If that sounds good, if that sounds like the timing's right, click here. And if not, such and such. What's good about it, it's short. It has to be short. It has to be, I say, 5 sentences. Each sentence is a separate paragraph. Otherwise, you're going to get clicked if it's something long.
Yeah.
But what about we went right back to product selling. We just back 30 years in those emails. So what we need now to do is really think it through. Okay, I hope you're closing out the quarter, a strong quarter. I've noticed we're seeing a lot of this, and I wanted to ensure that you're blank, 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 and really something that you fill in that second sentence that is so precise to a need that you really think this client has based on research.
Absolutely.
It is customized. And then you can put that one more sentence. What we're providing is put something enticing related to that very specific need that you've assumed is there. And then, if this is right, please click here. If not, please suggest a time. So we're not seeing that. I can tell you, I'm not seeing it with clients. And we need, we talk about training companies. I think writing as the new sales medium is become very, very important. And to integrate the consultative part into that and integrate the research and the niche knowledge so that if you don't do that, that first email will get clicked and deleted. It won't get clicked. Appointment probably.
Absolutely.
The second type, you really have a better shot if you've done homework and if it's customized. You have a much better shot of gaining some interest.
Absolutely.
So huge change.
Yeah. No, and I think you're so on point on saying that. This is one thing that we've been ranting about. I can say we are not only just talking about it, we are talking about it all the while. Hyper personalization, right? Some of the past few posts that Mario and I and Viv have been putting out there on LinkedIn as well have been all around saying, how does this work? Why are people sending you, dear first name emails in the name of automation that land up? And I think a lot of times those emails that are being churned out are templates, right? And and the seller is not using their own individual brain on it and just sending out the template, or maybe just hitting a button and starting a sequence which sends out the template. And I think this is one thing that COVID has really changed, the way we brought in and embraced technology in sales, which we had never done as much before as salespeople, because we were used to being in the field and having face-to-face meetings. So let's talk a little about what are some of the things you've noticed as impact of COVID really changing, there's this changing the dialogue. Is there anything else?
Well, of course, salespeople had to learn how to be on camera, how to know they're always on camera, and how to work things like Zoom and like the platforms that we're using now, and know the techniques, and, like 4 inches, 4 fingers over your head. You shouldn't be down here or way up here, and to look at and I think a lot of salespeople have finally gotten that, and I apologize to all of you for my background. It is exactly what I teach, the opposite of, but I'm not in my office, and you should never have a corner and all this stuff showing. However, I apologize for that, but to have your own background, but not a nice, clean, straight background, and non-distracting, and what to wear. And so there's the whole aspect of that. And then there's the aspect of selling. I see that very often, unfortunately, we're going back to product selling, because that first meeting, there's this big presentation. And frankly, when I have my first meeting, I'll put an agenda and discuss the agenda, and it disappears. And then I want face-to-face. I want the way we are right now, so that we can relate. And then perhaps at the end, if it's been a really good conversation, I might have a few slides to show, but I can tailor them how I talk about them, because we've had a meaningful dialogue. So I think the process of selling, distance selling, is very, very important. The technology of it. But I think the other really big change is, because of COVID, and we just talked about it, is the need for new alignment between marketing and sales, because marketing does so many wonderful things, but they are not experienced salespeople. And very often they are generating the very standardized emails that you were just talking about, So they need to be helped how to write from a sales perspective. So I think there's a course out there begging to be born, which is how to write very short, clear, customized, client-focused messaging. And then the bottom, remember we talked about the 3 layers: writing, dialogue, writing. How do you do a 2-page proposal? Clients don't want 20-page proposals. You want to hear the words, "I read this and this is exactly what I need."
What I need.
You want to hear those words, and you're not going to hear them if you send them 10 pages of something. For most situations, unless it's terribly complex, 2 pages will do. So I think COVID has put a whole new spin. And although people are going back to the offices now, I know that we're seeing much more of that. It will be a slow process, and it will never, ever be the same old norm. And, and a few salespeople are telling me that they're not too happy to be going out on the road again. Their life has a little more balance, and it's going to be a shift for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we are headed to a hybrid model, and I was just complaining about this to you. I always said I didn't want a desk job, and that's why I am in sales. And I have a desk job now, and I am still in sales. So we're going to take a quick commercial break while Felipe rolls up a commercial, and we'll come back and talk a little more about what do you see sellers go wrong in, where do they go wrong? What are we missing there?
Okay, then we'll figure out where they go right to, hopefully.
Yes. Felipe, over to you. All right, so that was about Flying Message, our very own tool where we are helping people save time on productivity. And we'll talk about that another time. But back to the question where we left it, Linda.
Yes.
Um, what are some of the mistakes you often see sellers do?
You know, it sometimes astounds me. It's been 30 years we've been talking about consultative selling. It's been 30, and I wrote, stop telling, start selling. And I honestly think that salespeople love to tell their story. And I think they're worried about time and so many other factors. They want to make that sale. But the mistake I see is not listening really carefully, listening for anything vague that they need to probe, go deeper, ask those smart questions, show that you're listening. And that is essential. So I say, if I would change anything from a lot of the salespeople that I see, I would say, listen more, really sharpen your listening skills, really work on your questioning skills.
Yeah.
And now the application, as I just said, writing is a new sales medium. Figure out how not to be so long-winded, not only when you speak, but when you write. Keep it crisp and short. There's the old adage, I would have written to you sooner, or I would have written a shorter letter, but I didn't have the time. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
write it down, save time for your clients and listen to them. I know it's and of course preparation now is so important, and research is so easily done.
Yeah, I know. And if I look back, I always think, is it easier now or was it easier then in terms of doing research? Because earlier we had to really struggle, get behind people, navigate those complex organizations to do our research. And now a lot of times stuff is available on the platforms we engage in, be it a Twitter or a LinkedIn or a Instagram, and yet nobody's listening. And I keep telling my team, digital listening, we need to get better at digital listening as well, right? Because it's all there. Who's reading it? You're trying to reach out to a prospect. Maybe he wrote a blog, maybe he wrote a post. So there's an element of digital listening as well. I wish people will get better at listening.
It's not taught, and salespeople like to talk. But you really have to hold back, especially when someone is answering you. You have to listen to what they're saying, and no matter what they've said, they have said something you need to go deeper into. You need to ask a question about something they've just said, not just jump to the next question. And it's that depth that going to be able to go that one level under, or even two levels, sometimes 3 levels into what that client has told you, that will reap such valuable information for you.
Yeah, I remember learning that when I did my 7 Habits course, that listen to understand. And I've always still struggled with it myself, even though I know the concept of listen to understand. Most of us listen to respond. What am I going to say next is more important than what you're saying right now, very often in sales calls, right?
How am I going to correct what that client just said? Instead of letting the client correct it by asking a question.
Yeah. Also, I think there is a fear of not losing control of the conversation. So, a lot of times salespeople go in with this thought of saying, I have to be in control. And if I start listening and they start talking, would I have let the control go? And that makes them keep staying at it. If I can't do anything else, sell a feature or a product.
Yeah. Well, the fact of the matter, I think, is that customers have more control than ever now. And even especially when we're doing distance selling, they can click us out pretty quickly, more quickly than kick you out of an office. So,
yeah, multitasking. People start using their mobile phones if they are not interested in the call anymore. We see that happen so often in Zoom calls. The client just goes off the camera and you're like, I lost him. He'd stay there for 45 minutes. And the funny thing is, sometimes you were at the end of the meeting and you've said bye to everybody. And there is this one client who's still in the conversation, and you're like, okay, bye, and they're still there, and you're like, okay, he's not even listening anymore.
Not even listening anymore. No, so you have to keep it interactive, listen to what they're saying, make it very customized, and keep it short.
Oh yes, oh yes, absolutely. All of those, all
Especially
of the
those
above.
prospecting emails, customized and short.
Yeah, yeah. We keep talking about the PVC framework here at Vingresso, and we still sometimes struggle that our own team is still struggling to use it. And I'm like, I thought it was simple. What's missing? Uh, why aren't sellers using it?
It's
Yeah,
a good question. It's a very good question to get the answer to.
yeah, yeah. So now that you've exited from the Richardson training business, what takes up your time? What's next? What is Linda doing?
Well, I sold the company and then I stayed with Richardson for a few years, but I knew it was time to go, and that
Mhm.
was tough at the very beginning. But I love what I do and I wanted to make a difference. So I decided to continue. So I work with one colleague, someone I've known for 30 years, and we've been doing a lot of sales projects together. And she's terrific and it's a lot of fun and it keeps me into something I love. And then with some time, I've really carved out time to do some things to really try to make a difference in the world. I'm working with Project Home for the homeless, and I'm working with Manna, which feeds people with very serious diseases that are very, very poor, and doing a lot of training of their staff and work with them, and with
Mm.
Penn Vet because I love animals. So I'm writing a new book. So I'm
Wow.
busy and I'm happy. So life is
Yeah.
good. Yes.
Yeah. And that is the absolute definition of success, right? You're happy with everything that's keeping you busy.
It's I think my advice is try to love what you do and
Yes.
try to make a difference in this world.
Yeah. And
And
do
you
what
will
you
be
love.
successful and you will be successful.
Yeah. So you mentioned a book. Is that still under wraps, or are you going to tell us a little bit of a sneak peek into what are you thinking about the book? What's it about?
Well, it hasn't fully crystallized, and this usually is, and the fact I'm not in the classroom a lot at all, is really slowing me down. But it really will be this thing called consultative selling plus concept, in which we take a look at really the effect of COVID, the changes it made, although things will change back a little bit. We will have this hybrid. And what will the new selling look like? And it will have a lot to do with what I think is the new 3 dimensions. It was dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. It's not going to be that anymore. It's going to be writing as selling, dialogue. And of course, there's some mix in that. And then writing as selling. And I would like to come up with the models for that to help salespeople really harness a very customized message, really add value so that they're helping clients think about things they hadn't thought of or think of things in a new way. So it really will be to change the dimensions of that, what we had in the past, which is dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. I don't think we're going to have that
Yeah.
pure
Uh,
again ever.
yeah. So that's interesting, and I'm absolutely looking forward to the book. And maybe if travel is back and we get a chance to meet outside this online environment, an autographed book, Linda, once you're ready with that one. But
Uh,
thank you so much for joining us today. Any last pro tips or advice for the sellers as we sign off this live?
I think I can only share with you what has made my life really meaningful and helped me have any success that I have enjoyed. And I really do believe you need to love what you do. And I know that's easy to say. And if you don't have the perfect job right now, love that you do the absolute best you can in it because that will open the next door. And I think that's what I always did. I pretty much gave it my all. And the second is make a difference with your clients, really care about them, go the extra mile. it's so wonderful, because maybe you don't see where it's going to lead. Oh, you did this and you really didn't get paid for that. It opens a door that you haven't even foreseen. So my advice is to really make a difference in what you do every day to make other people's lives better. And I think you reap the success back.
Absolutely. Golden words. I hope we are able to pick those up and imbibe them as easily as you said, because I know it's a struggle every day as we keep living in this world, but certainly something we all aspire for. So thank you so much for your time today, Linda.
Well,
and
thank you for such a great interview. I've enjoyed speaking with you, so thank you. And goodbye, everyone, and it was great to be on the program.
Thank you so much. Felipe, back to you.